Yes, sir. We back. We back. Don't mind me. But we back. And I just want to get this live stream off. What is happening, football family? It's been a minute, but I'm back up in here. Since we've been gone. How was everybody Thanksgiving? Christmas is on the way. People fall up in here. Like, comment, subscribe. Just getting that out there. Because most of the people who view the content ain't subscribed anyway. So we trying to change that up a little bit. NFL Week 14. Tonight, we start off Week 14 with a matchup that we probably know how it's going to go. Patriots, Steelers. Patriots have looked god-awful this year. And no fault of their own, though. The whole Mac Jones, put him in, take him out, put him in, take him out. It's not helping them any. Granted, someone might say, well, he forced the coach's hand. I don't think that's the case. Even when your quarterback is struggling, as much as Mac has struggled, you either pull him out or let him figure it out. I'm sure no one on the Patriots roster, none of the talent, would have thought, hey, if Belichick lets him tough it out, we're going to just abandon ship. We're not going to stick beside Mac. I'm sure all of them would have stuck beside Mac, and eventually they would have figured it out. They had the win against Buffalo. I thought they would have figured it out against Buffalo. They didn't figure it after Buffalo. I'm sorry. I thought they would have figured it out after Buffalo. They did not. Let's go look at the Patriots real quick. So after that Buffalo game, they won 29-25, right? 31-17 Dolphins, L. 2017 Commanders, L. 10-6 to the Colts, L. 10-7 to the Giants, L. And they recently lost to the Chargers, 6-0. Patriot football. This is what it's become. What do y'all think about that? What are we thinking about what we're seeing from the Patriots right now? Is it fair to do this to Mac Jones? Because he wouldn't have gotten to this point if he wasn't playing bad enough to where the coach had to even think about pulling him. That doesn't make what Belichick is doing right, but Mac did put himself in that situation. And then behind Mac, Bailey Zappi, who's not that much better. They just want to change other than Mac. They got Malik Cunningham over there. He's been taking first-team reps, but has yet to see the field. So we don't really know where this thing is going. I'm going to have to spark up for this one. Because I'm cooking right now. And then on the other side, on the flip side of everything, we got the Steelers, who, after firing Canada, their offensive coordinator, had a terrific outing. Put up the most yards they've put up on offense this year. However, most recently, coming off a loss to the Cards, 24-10. Now, the Steelers have their own problems. I at least thought they might be a little bit better this year. That group had a little bit more time to come together. You got Kenny Pickett back there. You got George Pickens on the outside. You got Deontay Johnson. You can't really they have a good young receiving core. They've got Najee Harris toting the rock. It just hasn't clicked for them yet. Some people might say Kenny Pickett is the issue. I don't think he's the issue, but he's definitely not helping. Let's look at Kenny Pickett's stats before I slander the brother. So his 2,070 yards puts him 24th in the league. 6 touchdowns. He's tied for 31st. 4 interceptions. 38.1 QBR. That's Kenny Pickett, quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And we'll see what happens. He's out right now, but we'll see when he comes back, when they can get a flow in this offense. We'll see what he can do. The AFC, as far as the playoff picture, it's still wide open, even though we're in week 14. Everyone's a couple wins and a couple losses out of whatever seed they're aiming for. We're looking like, though, we might get Baltimore number 1 seed, maybe, because Kansas City is not looking like Kansas City right now. But that's who we got on Thursday night. The lowly Patriots versus the still trying to figure it the hell out Steelers. And I don't think it's going to be like a high-scoring game, only because the Patriots have shown, on defense at least, that they can stop somebody. They held the Chargers to 6 points. You know, all their games they lost have been close. The offense just cannot score, no matter the quarterback. New England and the Jets have the same situation, as far as no matter who you put in there for a quarterback, I don't think any of them are going to have success. You've got to rebuild their offensive lines and supporting cast first. I think Zach Wilson does have a better supporting cast than Mac Jones, but the quarterback play might be a toss-up as far as this season goes. I know the first 2 seasons might have been different, and Zach never looked too appealing, but they're not one step above either one, Mac Jones or Zach Wilson. And speaking of Zach Wilson, we got to get into that. Zach Wilson, they wanted to give Zach Wilson the job back, right, in New York, because we all know he got benched for Tim Boyle. Tim Boyle came in and stunk up the joint, right? Tim Boyle comes in, stinks it up. They're like, oh, hell. I believe Trevor Siemian showed his face. He got hurt, I think. And now they're like, hey, Zach. They come to Zach. Hey, Zach, man, look. It wasn't looking too good out there these past couple weeks, man. I know we had our differences. We pulled you. You was out there running for your life. You wasn't getting the job done. Inadequacies all over the field. So we pulled you. We benched you for somebody worse. Truth be told, Zach, we need you. And Zach like, fuck you. And I can't blame Zach for that. I don't blame Zach for him telling the Jets organization that he wasn't really feeling becoming a team starter again. They put the lion's share of the blame on this kid's shoulders when they didn't develop him properly to begin with. Let's be honest. People can dust it under the rug all they want, but that's what we really have to talk about. The Jets organization, as far as developing young talent on the offensive side of the ball, has been atrocious. And I don't see a future where they change this because it's been this way for so long. They had success with Mark Sanchez, who I think we can all agree was a bit of an overachiever in the league, because after the 3 AFC championship trips, he never made it past there. And then after that, he never made it back. And since then, the team has been up and down. And like that last 1,000-yard receiver prior to Garrett Wilson was Brandon Marshall. So, and we all know how long ago Brandon Marshall played. We got to look at the play calling and the over at the Jets. We got to look at the front office. We can't just keep heaping blame on these young players and then tossing them to the wayside. But it's going to keep happening. I would hope that Zach, he said he's going to take the job back. The relationship between him and Robert Saleh has to be studied, because that's the only reason he took that damn job back. I tell you what, you bench me and you put me back up in there, nah, it ain't going to fly. It ain't going to fly. I'll tell you what, I'll throw that bitch out the back of our own end zone. Safety every motherfucking time. Playing with me like that. But that's why I ain't in the league, and Zach is. Quarterback of the New York Jets. I hope Zach has success. I hope this week he throw for 404 touchdowns, but I know that's asking a lot. Zach, I just hope you go out there and do your thing this week, because I'm rooting for you. And I know some of the Jets fans are rooting for you. But regardless of that, just know it's people on your side, Zach, and we want you to do good. We want you to perform well, regardless of the circumstances. So go out there and do your thing. And do what you know how to do. Do what got you to the dance, man. Just go out there and play ball. Plain and simple. Just go out there and play ball. Oof. Other news. Did we hear about this? Tom Brady said, give him Ocho, give him Moss against the new school. They torching everybody. Torching everybody. And then I put out, after he said that, I had put out, if Ocho and Tom had got together in Ocho's prime, that would have been probably the greatest receiver quarterback duo we ever had seen up until this point, which I think even today it would still have been the greatest receiving duo we ever seen. Ocho Cinco only played 12 years. Not only, that's a long ass time. He played 12 years. His 12th year was in New England. 11 years before that in Cincinnati. And if you look at his stats, he goes well over 1,000 yards about the first 6 or 7 years of his career without even topping 100 catches. He's out there every week chopping up DBs. And people look at the greats, and I think one of the reasons people don't look at Ocho as one of the greats is people look at longevity, people who play for 15, 16, 17 years. But you also got to look at the time period Ocho played in and the division he played in. He played in the AFC North in the 2000s. Who was on those teams? In Pittsburgh, think about it. In Baltimore, think about it. He playing those teams 2 times a year. That's 4 times you got to go up against those 2 teams who were just trying to literally take your head off every snap. We know what it looked like when Ocho went up against Ray Lewis. We know what that looked like. That wasn't the first time he had taken a hit like that. That's just the one that sticks out in everyone's mind when you think of the AFC North and Ocho Cinco in the AFC North. But I'm going to tell you something now. I'm going to tell you one thing for sure and 2 things for certain. One thing for sure, no matter what team you see that number on, when you see 85, you think of Ocho Cinco. Fact. And another thing for certain, Ocho Cinco is one of the, if not the, greatest route runners in NFL history. Go look at the tape. Go pull up numbers. Go do something. Ask somebody. YouTube got game footage. We could see it in living color. Gotta start putting some respect on my boy Ocho name. You feel me? And I think Tom will bring it back around. I thank Tom for saying that, because he put a lot of respect on my boy Ocho name. Ocho Cinco deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. Do what's right, NFL. Ooh, a primetime matchup this week. A main event game. I'm looking at Dallas and Philadelphia. Now, the last time these two teams faced off, it came down to the last few seconds. Dak had a couple drives at the end there to give our team, his team, the Dallas Cowboys, the lead, and he didn't show up to the task. He let the team down. And that's the knock against Dak. I can't lie. When we need him to show up in the biggest moments, he sometimes isn't there. He's not usually there. I can't lie. He's not usually there. We'll look at, and he's in the MVP race now. And I get why people are putting him there. The numbers he's put up over the past couple weeks, they look great. But the Commanders, the Panthers, and the Giants. And then that Seahawks one, he pulled it out, but the Seahawks aren't necessarily top tier. They ain't that much better than the Dallas Cowboys. They're not. The loss before that came to the Eagles. The Cowboys now own losses against the Eagles and the 49ers. If there's three top teams in the NFL, 49ers and the Eagles are 1 and 2. Pick your poison. Right? Cowboys have lost to both those teams. We saw the 49ers put a whooping on the Eagles. Now, this is the time for Dallas to strike. Strike when the iron is hot. It's hot now. The Eagles have shown that there's a lot of cracks in that armor. And with that defense, where the past couple weeks, we haven't been coming out hot. We've been showing up at the end of games to put the cap on things, right? The Seahawks, that saved us, right? Defense came through. In the Eagles, we're going to have to get Jalen Smith. What the fuck am I saying? We're going to have to get Jalen Hurts off his spot early and keep him off that spot often. Keep him moving. Keep him going side to side. Don't let him get comfortable. Don't let him pick anything apart. I'd rather have him run and have a spy on him, because we have some pretty athletic linebackers in Dallas. I'd rather let him run and have a spy on him than let him pick us apart with the passing. The last game they played, A.J. Brown, the Eagles, A.J. Brown was having some trouble getting open. And we need some more of that in this game. Cowboys, Eagles. Allow it sounds crazy. Devontae Smith and the supporting cast, let them have their day, right? Don't let them hurt you, but let them have their day. A.J. Brown must not have anything to do with this outcome. We got to take him out of the equation completely. That is a recipe for success against the Eagles. Look for them at that line of scrimmage is where you win the game. It's where you win any game, but but in particular against the Eagles. They have the amount of rushing touchdowns they have this year. Look at Jalen Hurts himself. More rushing touchdowns than passing touchdowns. They look to run the ball. They got Swift, Gainwell, and Hurts, a three-headed monster coming out the backfield. So you never know. But don't let that take away from A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Can't let A.J. Brown get the head of steam. Because once he gets going, everybody gets going. If you can't stop A.J., you're not going to stop anybody on that offense. Everybody's going to cook. He's the engine that goes. He's the engine that pushes that Eagles machine. Him and Jalen, at least, because you got to have someone giving him the ball. I'm not taking anything from Jalen, but we got to be honest. When A.J. Brown goes off, that offense looks unstoppable, and it's a long day for the other team. But the 49ers had the perfect game plan, like I said, against the Eagles. They took A.J. out of it. They kept moving Jalen off his spot. The DBs of San Fran are, I will say, as a group, maybe a little bit ahead of the Cowboys when you look at the number they did do against the Eagles receivers. But Stephon Gilmore is still one of the more elite defensive backs we have in the league. And then you have Deron Bland on the other side, which, again, in Seattle in that first half against DK, I think DK was a little bit too physical for him. I don't think he's faced a test like that up until that point, and you could call it getting exposed. I think it was a huge learning experience, and I think he learned a lot. Like I said, I think it was the first time he had faced a big physical receiver like that up until that point. And DK is also pretty fucking fast. And on that inside slant, right up the middle, Gino looked the safety off, and DK hit his head on the goalpost. Simple as that. And how many times have we seen Deron Bland pick off a similar pass, but usually going towards the sideline in the weeks past? How many times have we seen that? And in this game, we saw that. Granted, the route was ran a little lackadaisically by Lockett, but granted, they put Bland on the number 2, and he got the pick. So, I think just the physicality of DK was a bit much. I think if you have Gilmore on Brown, you might be able to win the day with Bland on Devontae, because I don't think Devontae is going to out-physical Deron Bland. These are good matchups to look forward to. As a Cowboys fan, I'm not too certain on the outcome of this game. The Dallas offense has looked phenomenal the past few weeks, but the teams haven't been the greatest. So I'm not really sure what to make of that. I don't think that means that, though, they can beat the Eagles just yet. The running attack from Dallas is going to have to show that they can show up and be consistent. That's something we still haven't seen yet, and we're now in December. The rushing attack in Dallas. If the Philly defense comes to play and your receivers have a hard time, we're going to have to rely on Tony Pollard and Rico Dowdle. And I don't think we can do that. Given how we've looked this season, we can't rely on a rushing attack. We cannot. As a part of a winning formula, we can rely on Dak to use his legs to open up everything else. Sure. But relying on, like I said, our running backs that we have on hand right now, I don't see it. And that's why if I had to give a score for this game, I think it could be very similar to the last score we saw. It ended 28-3 Eagles, and I think it'll be similar 21-27 Eagles. I wish this this matchup came a couple weeks from now, just so the teams can get a little bit more of the season under their belt so we can really see them before we go off into the playoffs. Because these two teams might face off again for a third time, given how the playoffs match up now in that third wild card spot. Although the Cowboys were going to make the playoffs anyways with the wild card spot, given how high-powered them and the Eagles have looked this year. So in the Cowboys versus the Eagles second matchup, potential playoff bye at stake given how the Eagles finished the season. I'm going to pick the Eagles to win this one, 27-21. The Cowboys do have games, though, after this against at Bills, at Dolphins versus the Lions, and they finish off at Commanders that I think the Cowboys can win out. The Eagles, who do the Eagles have to finish the season? Let's see. To finish the season, the Eagles go at Seattle versus the Giants versus the Cardinals, and then at Giants again. So both these teams could win out 4-0 to finish the season. So this game weighs very heavy. The Cowboys, for them, it is a must-win. For the Eagles, it also is a must-win to cement that number one seed and get that bye and get that week off going into the playoffs so you can be fresh and get that week's of rest. Or you might come into the playoffs a little stale. You never know with that bye. That week off can be good. It can help and it can hurt. You never know. But I'm gonna pick the Eagles to win this week. They're gonna go 2-0. They're gonna go up 2-0 on my Cowboys. 27-21 Eagles. And Monday night this week, we got two games. I'm going to touch on these real quick because I don't give a fuck about none of these teams. Except we got the Dolphins, who we're not too sure about this year. I don't believe in the Dolphins one bit. I think once they get to the playoffs, I think they're going to get smoked. I don't know who they're going to face, but it's going to be a top-tier team. And whoever they face, I feel like they're going to get smoked. They're going to have home field, so it's going to be a wild card team. Let's see who it could be. If the season ended right now, the Miami Dolphins own the best record in the AFC. They own the tiebreaker over Baltimore, so they'd get the bye ticket to the second round. They could only hope. Indy, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh are the wild card teams in the AFC. And they could only hope that all three of them teams made it to the second round, Miami. Because when Miami gets to the playoffs, if you see Baltimore, if you see Kansas City, it's over with. Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence went down, so I'm not too sure. C.J. Stroud and the Texans might usurp that position if they can win, if they can beat out the Texans and win the AFC South. But I know they don't have Tank Dell. Damn. But even still, I can see the Texans giving the Dolphins a run for their money. Oof. Dolphins banking on that number one seed. So the games we got on Monday night: Tennessee at Miami, Green Bay at the Giants. Jordan Love, he's coming into his own this year. We're going to touch on these games real quick. Jordan Love, he's coming into his own this year. And the Giants got something to figure out. However, Mr. DeVito, if he come to play, it could be a long day for Green Bay and that damn cheese on their head. We're going to have to figure that one out. In that one, I'll lean towards Green Bay, obviously, though. Christian Watson the past couple weeks. Jordan Love. They've been doing their thing on a 3-game win streak. They're second in the NFC North. They're in contention for a spot if they can continue on the trend they're on. But yeah, the Giants should be an easy win. This making the playoffs is all about winning the games you're supposed to win, and the games it's iffy, you pull those out too. So Green Bay gonna stomp on the Giants. They're gonna punch their ticket to the keep themselves alive in contention for the playoffs. And then in the AFC matchup, we got Tennessee and Miami. Tennessee ain't to be slept on. And Miami's shown that if you put up a little bit of fight, they might fold. So that'll be interesting. Both those games kick off at 8:15. So we got 3 primetime matchups. Golly, this week. It's a gift that keeps on giving. It's the holidays, man. So from the DSB Creative, like, comment, subscribe if you still in this motherfucker. If you viewing, if you tapped in, like, comment, subscribe. Yeah, that's NFL Week 14. Zach Wilson, we rooting for you over here at the DSB Creative, where we talk football, and that's what it's all about, football. And in the football sense, there's a lot of people out here who could be doing a lot better. Patriots, Jets, just to name a few, Giants. And we'll see where we go from here after this week. Happy holidays, everybody. It's Jaren DSB on the DSB Creative. And this is how we're going to be moving forward. We just going to be doing live streams, right? So I'm going to be more active on TikTok and Instagram. Clip it up. I'm going to be on YouTube as well. But we're going to try to be more interactive on Instagram and TikTok. And maybe even Facebook. Start to lean those ways as well. Put your hands everywhere where I can see them. And that's what I'm trying to do. So, like, comment, subscribe. Tap in with your boy, man. I got the ticker at the bottom, the DSB Creative. We on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble, and YouTube. We everywhere. So tap in with us. Get with us. Get right. Because on the DSB Creative, we talk football. And we not all about all the outside mess. And that's why Ocho Cinco should be in the Hall of Fame. Because when you look at football and not all the outside mess, he one of the best to ever do it. To ever strap on a pair of cleats. Wear number 85. Ocho Cinco the greatest. If you don't take anything else from this live stream today. Jaren DSB, the DSB Creative.